All right, we're going to try to make this video here about what I'm seeing as a role reversal in the role of finances in relationships or in relationships. And this is something that is being talked about more and more. I've seen a lot of people in the particular space that I follow or in the algorithms that I follow talking about this. It's something that guys probably going to have to really kind of gear up for because there's no end in sight to it. There's no relief in sight, and something you're going to have to get used to. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff. So I was watching something talking about obviously I'm off for a walk here, so come along with it, brother. I was watching something. I've watched a number of videos just talking about the predictions by 2030. Something like 50% of women will be single without kids, unmarried, unpartnered, and child free, I should say, unencumbered by children. And it's already in many cities, particularly larger cities, women in their 20s are already outpacing men. If they continue to go childless, some economists say that in their lifetime, if they don't ever have to stop to have children, then they can outpace men going further in their fields, in their careers. Something really to think about, considering all that goes on. So, you as a man have to decide what you're going to bring to the proverbial table. And I wouldn't be surprised if women, because of this dynamic, are saying, I'd rather be with a dude who's compromised in some way. Because if you think about it, why would they choose a guy who is financially on their level? They'll probably will adapt the same or adopt the same mating strategy that men have. Kind of dating down. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if that was something that came along in the future. That women who are no longer in the protection and provision, they can buy their own weapons and they can buy their own, sophisticated cars that'll lock or alarm systems. You name it, they'll be able to get that. And what do they need your provision for? Particularly if you come with a set of principles, set of boundaries that they just don't want to accept or need to accept. So, what role is it? Now, I want to make this completely about, or what role I should say, should you serve in her life when she can do the things that you used to do? What role do you fill? What purpose are you fulfilling? So a lot of guys are going to have to think about what they're offering besides financial protection, right? Or financial stability. So something to think about. Something to think about. So, guys running by me. I want to get back to running. Oh, that's a long story. Anyway, so I know I did a video about this already. I can't find it in my library. I looked at my other channels. This whole Cheesecake Factory thing that ladies are talking about, or, this was a big deal a year ago, and ladies don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory. And contrary to popular belief, there's this idea that I just kind of just click on, and I do click on stuff and see it. But a lot of stuff that I've seen online, on Instagram, TikTok videos, I've experienced in real life. I've had ladies more than one tell me they don't go to chain restaurants. They don't go to Applebee's or whatever. Don't take them there on a first date. So the reason I looked around online, I'm like, is this a thing? Is this something that these ladies are on in this particular age group? And that's fine if you are.
Yes. Would you want me to open the door for you? Look. You're recording me?
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
You want to talk about it? I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Come on, get up on in the car. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
First of all, number one, let's start off. You ain't that damn beautiful, okay? That's number one. You're ugly, heifer. Let me tell you something. Somebody's supposed to take her. She's going to the Cheesecake Factory. I'm a millionaire. I go to the Cheesecake Factory. Ain't nothing wrong with going to we need to take her ass to Checkers. That's what she used to go to a drive-thru. What the hell she know about going to Cheesecake Factory? Take your punk ass in there and eat the cheesecake and whatever they got. Your ass don't deserve to be there. That guy was trying to be nice to you. If you're going to Cheesecake Factory, next time he'll take you to a better place. He don't know you that well.
But guess what?
What?
He was gonna take her to a better place, but her ass was an hour late coming downstairs.
She didn't tell that part, did she?
No, they played it later.
They played
Then
it
her
later?
attitude. Then she's like, you taking me home? Hell yeah, I'm taking your ass home.
Take her ass back home. Don't even take her home. Drop her ass. Get out the car. Get out the car, hoe, heifer. I never.
You do you. But listen, this brother right here is a simple dude. I'm a simple guy. And I just try to make things do what they do. I try to make things happen. I try to have fun. I want to laugh and smile above all else. And if I'm stressed out about whatever, then you and I have nothing to deal with or talk about. And I am not about to stress myself out trying to ensure that you're happy and smiling, and I got to be on pins and needles and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah. So I've dealt with women who think like that. I've dealt with women who are very much into name brands. I've dealt with women who are very much, just, bougie, hoity-toity, you call it what you want. But for whatever reason, this is the way they think. So again, somebody asked me my opinion about finances in relationships, particularly first couple of dates. And I brought up the thing that I talked about in the beginning to talk about, where are we going with this, right? Because women can't continue to say men are broke, dusty, or they're not real men, or they're beta men, or whatever, because they refuse to pay for dates, first couple of dates. Because after a while, I remember one time, after a while, the guys aren't going to want to pay for those dates anymore. And one day, I had, I was looking at my bank statement, and I was kind of being out there. I was dating like 3 women at a time, and taking them on dates. And of course, I'm the type that likes to pay. I dropped a G. I dropped a G in a month. I looked at my bank statement. I'm like, all right, let me get rid of some of these women. And my bank gives you a summary. Okay, here's what you spent on entertainment, or here's what you spent on I think it was like going out to eat, or whatever the term was, going out to eat or whatever. Man, I got off of that real quick. So what I'm saying is, ladies are going to have to start coming out of pocket if you want a certain type of dude, because guys are not going to want to keep doing that. How many first dates are you going to go on where these dates aren't going anywhere? How many of that, right? And I know that this sounds sassy. Somebody's going to say it in the comment section, if you're broke, if you're sassy, you're whatever. This shaming language, I think, is coming to a head, and I don't think we're going to deal with that too much longer. I want to pause here and say the reason I think that a lot of women don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory and other places, or they're sick of dinner and a movie, or they're sick of just dinner, drinks, whatever, is because they are getting that's what they're going on so many dates. They're just sick of it. I'm sick of going to Cheesecake Factory. I'm sick of going to Applebee's. I'm sick of going to whatever restaurant. You name the restaurant. They're sick of that. They got so many options, right? Particularly if you're on dating apps. They got so many options. They got tons of options. So they're just sick of that. They're just sick of it. So you got to come up with new fancy ways to impress them. Oh, I'm tired of bowling. I'm tired of putt-putt golf. I'm tired of bungee jumping. They got so many options that they want you to come up with these elaborate dates. Nah, brother. Nah, sister. Nah, sister, we ain't doing that. So I just want to insert this. I was editing this, so we'll get back to it. And I don't think we should deal with that as men too much longer. It's not about being broke or sassy. And of course, if you're broke, You shouldn't be dating. I definitely think you ought to get your money up. But this whole thing about always paying for the first date, and the woman sits back and be a passenger princess and just kind of relaxes and doesn't do anything. Well, let me ask you this: what's the purpose of working? I don't understand this point of bossing up, getting all this money, sitting in the CEO suite, sitting wherever you're sitting, getting your master's degrees, whatever you're getting. I just don't see the point in doing any of that, and then don't want to come out the pocket, and that's going to play a big part as to how we move as a couple, because given the present state of the economy and the prices of houses and cars, it's just going to keep going up. So you're going to have to pitch in sooner or later. So this selective patriarchy that you want to engage in, right? This cherry picking of patriarchy is, I want a man who's going to provide and protect and this, that, and the other. You got to make up your mind about what you want about that and what that really looks like, given the future. It's your future stability of relationships, women's financial mobility, and what that's going to look like. So these are all things you got to think about as ladies. And I don't blame guys. I wouldn't blame a guy at all. I wouldn't blame a guy at all if he was out on a date and he refused to pay for dates, or he refused to pay. I wouldn't blame him at all. If he wanted to keep his money in his pocket or make sure that his bank account was equal to his woman's, and it's crazy. The crazy thing about hypergamy is, hypergamy being the idea that women want to date on their level or above, you're always going to be looking for somebody more. So, there's a lot to consider when you're dealing with finances. So listen, my advice to any guy my age, younger, is to find a woman who is willing to understand the current state of the economy, understand economics, understand what's important in life. That's compatibility, companionship, love, peace, communication. And anybody who's leading with their wallet, anybody who's leading with anyone who's leading with your sole viability for relationship is built and based on your finances, what's in your pocket or in your bank account, or your willingness to share. And listen, I think that men should be sharing. I think that men should be leading, protecting, providing. But we're also entering a time when they don't deem that necessary. So, their mating strategy, as I mentioned before, may begin to change. And they're going to select for somebody who's going to get on their level and going to get on their performance. Do I think that they'll be sexually and animalistically attracted to that man? No, but that's something for them to work out. And that's something that they, more people with more expertise in that area than I will have to consider and think about. But I'm telling the men out there to protect yourself. So listen, I don't have a problem with, here's the funny thing, man. I've been on dates just like everybody else, and the lady always does the whole fake reaching for her pocketbook kind of thing, and they'll tell you right then and there, right? If I reach for my pocketbook, not that they'll tell you, but they'll tell you, they'll tell you in a YouTube video or TikTok or whatever, yeah, I reached for my pocketbook. Do you know this dude asked me to actually pay? And they'll say it, or whatever, but they don't really mean it. So it's a nice gesture, and if you take them up on their offer to pay, then that'll probably be the last time you see them. So we're in this quandary. So as a guy, you got to be willing to let these people go. You got to be willing to let them go. If they're not on your game and you're on your program, and they don't want to go for a walk-in for a first date, hot dog or whatever, taco truck or something cheap, and you can really get to know them and see where their head is at, what they think about finances. Again, this was a video that was asking me about finances. Obviously, I think that there's more to life and more to relationships than money, but this is what we're talking about here. If they're not on your program, then you got to keep it moving. No matter how bad she is, no matter how bad you want to sleep with this woman, you got to think about the long term. And if you're just gaming on somebody just to get in their pants, then nothing I'm saying is going to matter. You're dating for a vastly different reason. But if you're looking for long-term commitment, long-term relationship, then these are things you got to think about. So, one of the biggest questions you got to ask yourself is what I want. Do I want a long-term relationship, or do I want someone who's going to be in it just for money? Because if it's just a couple of drinks, then we hop into bed, that's fine, So, another lady walking by there got to struggle to control her dog. Man, I hate that. Control your dog, lady. But she was doing the best she could to fight him back. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts about finances, man. So I think if you're going to go on a date, you got to be prepared to pay. You got to understand that the climate is changing, and just because it's changing, it might be a slow erosion. And a lot of ladies in my age group don't want to hear this. They want a man who's going to lead, protect, and provide, and then anything else is going to come off as sassy. But if you're in your 30s, like I did with a video the other day, if you're in your 30s and you reckon, and I wish I could find that video. I never will be able to find the video of the guy who's it's a skit, walks into the store, and he looks a woman up and down, prices her watch, prices her bag, prices her hair and nails, and they put prices up there, right? $900 watch, $1,500 shoes, or whatever the prices were, and he does a cost-benefit analysis, and the caption said, when you're in your 30s dating. So guys are figuring this out in their 30s. So again, you got to figure this out, man. You got to figure this out, because, what is the point of working? To me, a question I need answered, and you're doing all this, man. Well, what are we doing with that? And it's great if if the answer is I'm going to be building an empire, we're going to use this money to invest in buying a home, or we're going to use this money to invest, right? You pay the bills, and I'll make sure we buy a house, or make sure we have great vacations, or just building up a nice nest egg, then that's great, right? I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. So somebody asked me a question. What are my thoughts? What are my thoughts about me dating someone who makes more than me? And I got a couple of different streams of income. I got a retirement. I teach at a couple of universities, and YouTube is giving me gas money right now. Unless y'all hit the like button, make the channel blow up a little bit more. And also do some work for lawyers, but I'm gonna probably chill out with that for a little bit. Anyway, I got a couple of different streams of income. So would I date someone who's, high powered, making, well into the six figures? I think it's different for me because I've been there and done that, and I have voluntarily walked away from corporate America, as it were, because I got a really good job teaching at a university right after I got my doctorate, and the benefits suck though, but I got a really good job, and I voluntarily said, listen, I need my peace, I need my free time, I need my time to get away, to travel and all that. So that was worth it more to me. And I've also got the highest degree of education. So it's a little bit different for me. And I'm just looking for somebody to partner up with. So if a woman's like making 200 grand, whatever. Here's what I got. Here's what I bring to the table. It's either yes or no. So, and I don't care. I think that as you gain in financial freedom, as it were, you can walk away from a lot of situations that you don't like, whether it's a job or whether it's in a relationship that you don't feel is benefiting you. You have the ability to walk away from those types of things. So those are all things to consider that I had to consider, and all that. So that's another thing to think about, financial ability to financial ability to engage in relationships. So these are all things you got to think about and all that. So I just want to talk about finances. The complexity of relationships in this modern time. I don't understand the purpose of these electric bikes. I mean, just for going around. I mean, you're not getting any exercise, right? Anyway, the complexity, and I can't really give anybody, what you should do. I'm just telling you how to think and what to consider. But the complexity of these relationships is, ladies still want overwhelmingly a man who's a protective provider. They don't want to come out of the pocket in the first couple of dates because they want to know that you have the ability to pay the bills. But how many first dates are you going to go on? Are you going to be like me one day and just roll over, look at your statement on your phone and be like, okay, $1,000 was lost this month on a bunch of first and second dates? And what are you getting out of return for all these different dates and all that kind of stuff? So these are things you got to think about. You got to do a cost-benefit analysis and try to figure out what's the best for you. And if you're not seeing that, you got to keep it pushing. I mean, what else are you going to say? Don't drain your bank account to make somebody else happy. Don't do what a lot of other people are doing and just spending money, flying chicks here and there. Because these girls, they're on some other stuff a lot of times. They're on some other stuff. So I wouldn't be flying anybody out. If I'm going to go visit somebody, I'm going to pay my own way there. I'm going to stay in my own hotel. Things go great, that's great. But I'm not flying you to see me. And you trying to hook up with somebody else, or you trying to meet up with your best friend you haven't seen since college who lives in the same town I do. I ain't doing none of that. I ain't doing none of that. So if there's something I missed here from the financial aspect, again, I'm just trying to cover the bases about how you should think. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You want to go out there and pay for every single date? That's fine. You want to go out there, buy buy women handbags, fly them all over the place, pay for everything? You want to do that? Go ahead. It's not going to buy you love, affection, attention. It might buy you some attention, but it's not going to buy you love. It's not going to buy loyalty. It's not going to buy none of those things. So why are you doing it? Why are you doing all that, right? For some sugar box? There's got to be less expensive ways to get that. So hit me in the comment section. This is my thoughts about Cheesecake Factory skit and all that. Lots of love and peace.